Have you met a leader recently who's just dead inside? That they have a fixed mindset, that no growth, nothing to look forward to, no goals, they just go through the motions. They're just check, 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 punching the clock. Well, today I'm going to talk about the importance of having a growth mindset and how it changes everything as a leader. Hi, I'm Doug Nielsen, by education psychotherapist, still practice a little bit. I'm an executive coach, keynote speaker, and a best-selling author. And one of the things that I see all the time is this idea of how do you keep alive inside? How do you keep growing? And I want to talk to you about a very specific way that you can have a growth mindset. It is absolutely critical in this ever-changing world we find ourselves in. And stay tuned to the end of the video because I will show you one sentence that'll help you step into a growth mindset. So powerful. School, what does this say? We're in school right now. School's in session. It says opportunity is nowhere, or does it say opportunity is now here? That becomes a choice. Is opportunity now here in your life, or is opportunity nowhere in your life? And whatever choice you make, you're right. What's more beautiful, a sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset? What's more beautiful? Again, it's a choice. And that's one of the starting points for having a growth mindset. Understanding that there can be opportunity regardless of the challenges that I'm facing right now in my life if I choose to see them. Or the opposite is true. And your mind, whichever way you tell it, it will create that in your life without a doubt. It will head that path for you. What 3 events have impacted your life? If you were to identify 3 events over your life that have impacted you tremendously. An event that could have been post-traumatic in nature or post-traumatic growth in nature. And particularly, I want you to identify the events that there was post-traumatic growth, that it could have been traumatic. And in fact, it maybe was, but it actually became a growth event for you. That's where most of our growth can come from, because either in life, we're either green and growing, or we are ripe and we're rotting. The growth mindset is all about green and growing. The only way we can prove life is growth. If there's no growth, then there's really no life. We're just coasting, and you know where we head when we coast, we go down. It's the tree that becomes brittle and does not bend in the wind, it's not flexible, that breaks. So the idea is to have that growth, green and growing. 3 events that have impacted my life that I have been able to grow from and have post-traumatic growth, one of which was being raised in an alcoholic home. It's pretty chaotic at times, and if you've come from an alcoholic or a drug home, it can be kind of scary. And it's one of those events that can either fix your mindset or open you up to say, ooh, bad things happen. And this is what I learned from this event. Bad things can happen, but guess what? You can do hard things. The human spirit is resilient. It is created to overcome. It is created to grow. Another event that was pivotal in my life was going on a mission for my church. That changed my life. I was in a heavy metal band. I wasn't going anywhere real fast, right? I was the lead screamer. And the other thing is I had some brushes with the law, nothing huge, but enough that I was not going in a good path at all. That event changed my life and helped me to recalibrate a whole bunch in my life. Another event that really had a huge impact on me was meeting the author of this book. And it's called Man's Search for Meaning. And it's written by Viktor Frankl. He is a World War II concentration camp survivor. And he talks about in his book his experiences in the death camp. And I was absolutely floored and astounded that how can somebody go into a death camp where some 6 million people were murdered, tortured, incredible atrocities that we can't even talk about that happened to them? And how on earth do you go into that event with the number 119104 tattooed on your forearm and you transform that event into post-traumatic growth? That blew my mind. And in the conversation, I talked to him, say, Victor, how did you do this? And he said, number 1, pain is all relative. Your pain is every bit as much as mine. My experience was different, but it's all relative. And he said, ultimately, it's a choice. You have a choice that you can continue to grow, or you can continue easily to spiral down. It doesn't take much effort to spiral down. He ultimately got to this point of saying, you know, when you can no longer change your environment, when you can't in a death camp or whatever circumstances you're facing right now, when you can't change that environment, it allows you to change one thing. Yourself, particularly your thinking. And this is the last of human freedoms, the ability for you to choose your thoughts, your attitude in any given set of circumstances, regardless of what happens. And Viktor Frankl got to that point where he said, You know what? If you want to continue to beat on me with the butt of your gun, you can. If you want to continue to starve me, you can. If you want to take my wife and my family, she was pregnant. If you want to take my family away from me, you can. I can't stop you, or I would have long ago. But I'll promise you this. I will draw my last breath on this earth with honor, with dignity, with self-respect. You will never take that from me because I am free. You'll never take that from me. Now, this is something that really stirred my soul. And I don't know about your challenges, the challenge that you're facing right now or the challenges that you've faced in your life. Could it be that that could be a springboard for growth for you? It can. Opportunity is now here, or opportunity is nowhere. And guess what? That will be your truth. That's the spirit of Viktor Frankl saying we can rise and we can find meaning in our suffering. Because it's not suffering that will destroy us. We all suffer. But it is suffering without meaning. And that's a choice. And when we find meaning, we then grow. Now, sometimes I know it's very difficult to find meaning in suffering. Hang in there. Keep moving forward. Ultimately, it will come as you continue on that path to growth. Now's a good time. I want you to pause and go put in the comments a challenge that you've had, but you've come out on top, that you have had post-traumatic growth, where you've not allowed that event to kill the hope that's inside of you, like Viktor Frankl. He said, I will not allow this event, other people or circumstances to kill the hope inside of me. I will not. I will grow through this. This pain will not be in vain. I'd love to hear some comments about how you've grown through your pain. Viktor Frankl understood that ultimately he's the author of his story, and he was not going to allow the villains in his life to dictate that he was a victim and to dictate what his story was. He chose to shift away from that victim mentality. Now, he was a victim, but he chose to shift away from that victim mentality and to be the hero in his own life and to write the story the way he wanted it. The story didn't end there. It continued, and he impacted millions and millions of people's lives. In fact, I highly recommend you get the book and read it. If you hate to read, get the book and read it. If you don't know how to read, get the book, learn how to read, and then read it. The book will change your life. I can promise you that. One of the key concepts that Viktor Frankl teaches, and this is the sentence that I really want you to wrap your heart around, is simply this. I'm facing a challenge, and here it is. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get through this, but I will find a way. Just for today. And that shifts the brain into the growth mindset versus, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm powerless. I'm stuck. It's hopeless. And guess where the brain goes? It goes into that fixed mindset versus, I will find a way. I remember one time, it was my first experience, I believe, with the growth mindset. And I was in 3rd grade, went to a karate class. Wow, right? I came home, I told my family, I told my brother, my older brother, he was my hero. And I said, guess what, Wes? I'm going to get my black belt. Now, my brother had no malintent here. He was just being a teenager. And he said, you'll never get a black belt. You're too big of a wimp. And you quit too easy. And I remember that little 3rd grade heart was just kind of devastated. Like, that could have been a traumatic event, so to speak. Okay. Where I said, yeah, he's right. You know, I'm a 3rd grader. I quit all kinds of things. That's what 3rd graders do. But something tweaked. I remember something tweaking inside there. I said, you know what? I'm gonna get this black belt. Now, fast forward, right, in my early 20s, I finally got my black belt. And I had to try multiple times, and there were obstacles all over, but I finally got that black belt. My brother was so confident, he told me at the time when I was in 3rd grade, he says, I'm so confident you won't get your black belt that if you get your black belt, I'll give you $100. So in my early 20s, went to his house and said, guess what? Showed him my black belt, said, hand it over. Now, that is a fun little story, but the idea is, I feel overwhelmed. I'm not exactly sure. My brother had some good points, but I'm going to shift into growth mindset. I will prove him wrong. I will find a way. I don't know exactly how, but just for today. So I want you to think about your challenge, the challenge that you're facing right now. One that would be easy to say, it's permanent, it's pervasive, I'm powerless, there's nothing I can do, and shift. I'm not exactly sure how, but I will find a way. And then go find that way. When? Just for today. So that is your invitation. Despite everything that's going on, despite the challenge, despite the heartbreak, shift into that mindset that I will find a way. When? Just for today. Watch what happens as you continue to grow into that growth mindset. Hey, if you like this video, please give it a like. And then if you want more information, go to my website at DougSpeaks.com.